Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So yeah, it's been a hot minute since the last time we did one of these. How you doing, Andre? How was your holiday?
Man, I'm doing great. Holiday was awesome. I think I mentioned in the last podcast we had a ton of people, or we were planning to have a ton of people. We did have a lot. It was a total of 17 of us in one house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man, it was wonderfully chaotic.
Nice. There you go.
But I had some fun times, man. Made a lot of memories. It was great. How was yours, man?
My holidays were great. It was nice visiting family and stuff. So I think I also mentioned in the previous episode that I went up back to New England to go visit the family up there afterwards. So that was like the week before. And then the week of the holiday, we were obviously back here. And we had we had a big shindig and stuff, and it was fun. We did games. I want to say like 5 scratch tickets. Each one was $2 because that's like the prize in our family for when you win some of these games. So that was $10 worth of scratch tickets, and I got $0.
Oh, wow.
And that's just my luck, but it was fun. It was a good time. The gifts I got were very nice. People were back. It's always nice to get gifts where people clearly put thought into them rather than just being like, here's some socks, But yeah, so that's great. That was great.
Awesome, man.
So a lot of stuff, like I said, is happening because we are kind of getting to the end of the proper lesson portion of CSAP. We're moving into OJE. That's on the job training. How do you feel about that?
Man, I am excited, and I also want to mention that I'm excited.
Because let's talk about it, right? We talked about it how many episodes ago where it's like, oh, I just want to get into OJE, and now that it's here, I'm like, I'm so excited for it.
Absolutely. And for anybody who's just seeing the video, we're in CSAP program. It's a year long. The first 6 months is the learning phase where we're doing modules, classroom participation, things of that nature. And then the second 6 months, that's our OJE, our on-job experience, and that's the more hands-on, the more we're doing the job. There's still shadowing and things of that nature, but we're doing more hands-on, which is what we've been wanting, or what I've been wanting.
I mean, I also wanted it, and it's like, it's very exciting because we knew that this was coming up, but we hadn't gotten our assignment yet, right? And that was like a big part of it, where it's like, where am I going to be working? What exactly am I going to be doing? And so it's really cool that both of us just so happen to be in Service Provider, which is, one of Cisco's segments, but it's interesting. You activated your fireworks swag. Oh, that was so funny. So we're both in Service Provider, but I am doing services and you're doing software. So that's actually kind of funny that we have that context.
And we didn't even plan to be in the same segment. It just kind of happened.
Your happenstance.
But it's awesome. I'm excited to be in software, and I've had a chance to meet my team and everything. Far so good. And on the team also with Tim Vance. So I'm excited, man. Let's go.
Tug that collar. That sounds really exciting, though. I'm so happy that you were able to get something that you really wanted, you know what I mean? So that's good. So before moving on to other events that happened recently, I wanted to get a little bit into ARP4. It's the final big test, which officially marks the end of like the classroom segment of CSAP. ARP4, obviously, big deal. Everybody's thinking about it. Everybody's worrying about it. How are you doing about it?
I'm nervous, considering this is the 4th one we've done, but the first time I've done it with 2 other people. I'm nervous. I'll just put it that way, just to be honest, because I haven't done that before. I'm used to doing it just myself. And for those who don't know, ARP is assessed role play. But yeah, before it would just be me and the
assessor.
The assessors, thank you.
Yeah.
The assessors that would assess how well I would do on the role play. But this time we have an account manager, a systems engineer, and then myself, a services specialist, who, all 3 of us are going to be doing the role play together. So we really have to work on our cohesiveness and the practicing and things of that nature. So I'm glad to do it so that way I can get the practice in, but I am nervous as far as how well it's going to go, because it's my first time.
Of course. And that just makes sense, right? It's just, the new time jitters is perfectly normal. Because it's like, I'm assuming we both share the same sentiment of like, I implicitly trust my team. Like, we wouldn't be on a team if they weren't competent, because they wouldn't have made it this far. You know what I mean? So like, just by default, it means that we must be okay in terms of actually getting this done. But it's just the fact that it's a big deal, it's just ARP4. And it's the big one that everyone's been looking forward to. So yeah. I did want to take this opportunity because now that we're, kind of wrapping up the actual classroom segment, I feel a lot more cohesive when it comes to my thoughts on CSAP as a whole in regards to being a service specialist, right? CSAP was fantastic. We learned a lot of stuff. We made a lot of connections, and it's really obvious why CSAP is so valuable to Cisco as like a program in general. Clearly, this initial exploratory thing where they added in services as like a separate thing, they tried, but I don't know if it was enormously successful because I feel like, and I don't know, maybe you agree, maybe you don't, but I feel like the majority of what I know about Cisco services and whatnot, and the stuff about EAs, which is like enterprise agreements, I learned either from my peers who are not instructors, or I just found it on the Sales Connect, I think, the repository for all like the PowerPoints and stuff. I feel like the vast majority of what I learned that's relevant to my actual job came from that, but everything that I know about data center and networking and how to present in front of people, that's what I got from CSAP. So I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, no, I definitely see where you're coming from with that, because it's considering this is the first time software and services has become a part of the CSAP program, the specifics or it being more geared towards that part wasn't there. There could have been more of the software and services aspect inside of the program itself, but I will mention it was neat to still try to navigate it and get to learn more about it from our mentors that we have outside of the program, and then also the curriculum. I would have liked to saw more of that in the curriculum itself, but
it's one of those things that's interesting to think about, right? Because it's like, sure, there might not necessarily have been as much, because like I feel like the engineers, for example, are very well set, mostly because they've been ground into powder, but like they're very well equipped to move into their job, whereas we feel like a little...
Did you say ground into powder?
Well, yeah, dude, those guys put so much work into their CSAP, and it's like I don't envy them for that, but I envy their skill level. They're all really great. Keep that in mind, people out there. When you're looking to hire, look to this year's SEs from CSAP. They're all excellent. But anywho, so it might not necessarily have been as robust as I would have wanted from a services perspective, but considering it is literally the first time that they're incorporating services properly into the curriculum, it's really good. You know what I mean? Like it's much above average to what you would have expected for an exploratory program. I guess what I mean to say is that like there are very clear channels into the future for how they can improve this program, but I'm not dissatisfied with what I got.
Absolutely. And I think it's good that they're trying to improve upon it as well. We just had a meeting in regards to it, to where, how we can improve on the software and services side of things in the CSAP program. So I would say I'm excited to see how that transpires next year, but I'll be out of CSAP by then. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we will be out.
But yeah, I definitely agree. There can definitely be some improvements for sure. I tip my hat off now to the future software and services CSAPers who will be coming on. But so far, so good. I'm just glad to be here, man.
Exactly. That's my sentiments, exactly. Kind of shifting gears a little bit. So a while back, I don't even remember how long ago it was. Must have been at least a couple months. We had GES Day, which was like it was an event where one of the Cisco segments came in, did a bunch of presentations, and then we had one-on-one opportunities with people from global enterprise sales. And it was like a courting thing where it's like, hey, do you want to come work for us? And it's funny because obviously, we're already doing our thing. But we just had Commercial Day, which was essentially the same thing, but for the commercial segment instead. How did you feel about Commercial Day, Andre?
Overall, I thought it went well. And I'm comparing it to GES Day. This was more digestible. It wasn't as long. I was definitely thankful for that. For me, experiencing it remotely, it was good that it was short, and I liked how we were able to meet with some of the leaders afterwards. It would have been, I think though, a lot of the leaders were really busy as well during certain times. So I think it would have been more helpful to maybe try to get more of a lock on some of the schedules for some of the leaders. That probably would have helped, because it wasn't just me. It was a lot of us where there were multiple reschedules that needed to take place. And I understand a lot of those leaders there, I'm sure they're working with customers and things like that. So I get it,
Like, it makes sense, but it would have been nice. right?
Yeah.
And nice to be a lot more stable on that. I only met with 2 individuals because I didn't want to chew up anybody else's time for like commercial. But it's like I only ended up meeting with 2 people. One of them was Coco Burns. She was very lovely. She was one of the speakers that was at commercial day. And then the other person that I met with also seems very nice, but I had to reschedule for tomorrow. So it's like we completely went out of the week. So it's like didn't even get to meet on commercial day. But that's just how it be. Commercial is inherently very busy because you have so many people that you're working with.
I'll add with that real quick. It was really nice with that the wealth of wisdom and knowledge that these leaders have, like the one that I spoke with, Linwood Batts. I mean, oh my God, he was dropping so many gems on what I can do, and even taking it from the perspective of your purpose and your vision. It was very, very helpful, and really glad I got to be a part of that.
It was a very worthwhile thing to go to, so that was nice.
Absolutely.
So I figure we'll probably wrap this up with the main purpose of this podcast, I guess, because the stated objective of this podcast was to chronicle our time going through CSAP, but as remote individuals. We both have been to RTP once, which was for RTP week, but summarizing the first 6 months of the program. Obviously, we'll do another summary when it comes to like the end, right before graduation and whatnot. But how do you feel as a person who's done the majority of CSAP through a screen?
I feel good. Overall, I'm pleased with how they have gone about trying. And when I say they, I mean just everyone at Cisco. They've really tried to be cognizant of the fact that I'm at home. I'm not in the same state that the bulk of the people are. And how can we make Andre feel welcome? How can we make Zach feel welcome? There's been some huge intentionality there, which I'm thankful for. I feel great. I still feel a part. I still feel like I belong here at Cisco, which is great. And I will say, I guess sometimes I do feel as though some classroom experiences I'm missing out on as far as like the camaraderie with some of the my other classmates and with the teachers, the instructors. So some of that I kind of missed because when we went there for RTP week, we got a chance to talk to some of the instructors. I mean, there was just some dialogue you wouldn't have otherwise unless you were in person. In that regard, I do miss that. But having said that, even though I'm remote, having the ability to, when I log off at 5 o'clock, I'm already home.
There's not a 40-something minute commute to go back to your house. It's we're already here, man.
Already here. I'm saving gas. My wife loves it, obviously. You can't beat it. So I'm thankful, and it's great. How about you, man?
I mean, needless to say, I'm very much in the same boat. I'm so glad to have gotten into this program as a remote individual, because when we were there for RTP week, the physicality and being able to put like faces to people instead of just faces to screen was enormously valuable. But it's like, it's not necessarily that, how do I phrase this? It's not exactly that like in person versus remote is better or worse. It's more that they're just 2 different animals, you know what I mean? Because there's so many benefits to both. And it really comes down to like what you as an individual would really prefer to have in any particular circumstance,
Yeah.
Because for me, the main thing that I got out of all of this as a remote individual was, holy cow, they put so much effort into making sure that the curriculum itself was compatible regardless of where you were. Right. And as you says, of course. But then the only parts where I felt like I'm an afterthought as a remote individual was some of the events and stuff that we were invited to, where it's like, gosh, it was like, I know we just talked about commercial day, but it's so funny looking at the picture for commercial day, because you see my like big fat mug, because you can recognize my background in the big picture that they took. And then it's like I'm smiling over here, and then you see like 4 people standing in front of the rest of the screens, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't blame you, because like what else were you gonna do? Like, we're not physically there, and it's hard to like coordinate people in that way. But that was just like a really good example of like sometimes like outside of the curriculum, a remote individual doesn't require as much presence, so you kind of forget about them. But in terms of like doing events and like, I still feel very connected to my CSAP cohort, you know what I mean? Like, there's definitely some people on like Dexter's team that I don't really know very well. But then again, it's not like we were gonna all know each other like super well, you know? So yeah, so the over-under of the whole shebang is that this was fantastic, ultimately. I hope that the next 6 months are similarly fantastic, or cross my fingers. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Absolutely. No, I'm right there with you, man. I'm loving it. It's been great. Thankful to meet you, and it's been awesome.
I'm about to say, Andre is one of my favorite people here at CSAP, so I'm glad that I just so happened to start doing a podcast with him. Like, who would have imagined?
Right.
So, the next time we get back for one of these, we will have hypothetically started our OJE, which is that's going to be a big thing. I look forward to hearing more about that. I do want to mention one thing, just as like a little thing at the end. I'm not going to do this for every episode, but I want to do a little thing at the end. For anybody who's out there in the continental United States, I will remind you that on April 8th of this year is what is known as a Ring of Fire total eclipse. This is an event that only happens in the US once every 120 years. You can look it up online to see where the line of totality is going to be. Double check to see if you're going to be close to it and when it's going to happen, because like there's not a lot of people that get to see it, in person. So make sure you get your proper vision protection and check it out. This is just a PSA because I want to make sure that people are aware, because a lot of people, I don't want it to go by. It's gonna, the next one is in 20 years in Africa, and that's like a whole different thing to try to figure out, So, all right. Ciao, everybody. See you later.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.